I'm Suvrat. I am a theatre, TV and film actor. I was born in Pune in a lower middle class family, depending upon what part of month you are referring to. So in the first 2 weeks of month, when my Ai Baba used to get paychecks, we were middle class. And in the last 2 weeks, we were lower middle class, like most of the families around us at that point of time. My father was a journalist and he used to write reviews for films and theatre. And the kind of father he was, he always took me to watch theatre and films since I was very young. And somewhere before I hit my teens, I was infected by theatre. I use this word very deliberately, infection. Like you don't go and ask for infection, right? Yaar, de yaar thoda. Like, which variant you have? Yeah, I won't mind this variant. No. It just creeps inside you and it takes over you. In the same way, theatre just took over my mind. And it just, by the time I know, I was completely infected by it. Unlike other parents who would frantically try to rescue their children from this infection, my parents actually encouraged me to do theatre. Not only did they encourage, but they demanded that I better be good at it if at all I choose to do it. So that's how I started doing theatre. I pounced on every opportunity in schools, in colleges. But as I was acting, I was also looking at the great work that has been happening all over the world. And somewhere down the line, I realized that if I continue to act the way I was acting, maybe one day I'll get very popular, maybe I'll get a lot of wealth, but I will never be able to achieve the kind of quality that great actors, great artists have in their work. And so I started wondering, how do we reach to this greatness? And with those questions, I decided to learn about my craft in detail. So I went to National School of Drama in 2005. And even in the National School of Drama, most of my questions about craft were not answered till I met my ultimate guru, my teacher, Mr. K.M. Adil Hussain. So I started working with Adil. Adil provided us with a lot of tools which helped me not only grow as an artist, but also go deeper into my craft. So you see, the growth was vertical. It was helping me become expansive and also go deeper within myself. Most of his tools were inspired from ancient Indian spiritual meditative techniques. Amazing, right? I was practicing those tools just to become a better actor. And slowly those tools, those techniques started spilling into my life. My guru always said that whatever your problems on stage are actually your problems in life. So if you don't listen well, you don't end up listening well on the stage. If you don't see well, you don't see your co-actors. You don't see them. You can't go, if you can't watch people for what they are, then you can't do that on stage. And that's how my perception of reality and life started changing as I started practicing these tools. And I was infected by another question. What if life was more like theatre? And as I was infected by the theatre, I started pursuing this question relentlessly while I was practicing my theatre. And today, I'll be presenting whatever thoughts and reflections and experiences I had during my theatre practice while pursuing this one question: what if life was more like theatre? Now, first of all, let me clarify one thing. We all have, when we talk about theatre, we all have heard about this cliche line, which the MC just quoted, that the whole world is a stage and we are merely a players. Or this famous line from film Anand, बाबू मोशाय, ये दुनिया एक रंगमंच है और हम सब कठपुतली है, and blah 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 blah. I mean, all respect to these iconic lines, but I totally disagree with them. This definition of life and theater, I personally find, is very redundant. I genuinely feel that we are not puppets. We are people with choices. We make choices in the given situation, and depending our co-actors and their choices, and this pool of consequences makes the play of our life unfold, isn't it? By now, we all have realized that there is no divine intervention in our life. At least I haven't found any during my theater practice. So in that sense, when I say, what if life was more like theater? Yes, life can be like theater, but in a completely different way, not in this way. So to begin with, let me tell you that when we go on the stage or in the rehearsal, we start with suspending our disbelief. Have you heard about this word? Suspension of disbelief. So we have disbelief, right? What is the disbelief? This is a play which is going on, right? This is not reality. We don't believe that this is a reality, right? This is the disbelief. So when we go in the to watch the play or a film, we don't say, हाँ ये तो एक actor है जो ऐसे ऐसे कपड़े पहन के आया है और ऐसे ऐसे acting कर रहा है. No, we think that this person is Othello, right? So we suspend our disbelief. But not only you as audience suspend their disbelief, we as actors also suspend our disbelief, right? And what is the disbelief? I suspend that I'm not Suvrat anymore. I am someone else. So when I go to the rehearsal, I do the same with my co-actors. And when I started practicing this, I realized that we actors don't get along well always, right? So if some actor comes in front of me with whom I don't get along really well, तो एक आ गया, कौन? मनोज आ गया. हाँ, मनोज से मेरी बिल्कुल बनती नहीं है ना? अबे देखते ही गुस्सा आ जाता है. अब स्क्रिप्ट बोल रही है, भाई साहब ये आपका दोस्त है. What do you do? So me and Manoj sort of start suspend our disbelief and start pretending to be friends. And as we do this every day, what happens is that slowly me and Manoj start finding small reasons of liking each other. अरे मनोज इतना भी खराब नहीं है यार, एक दो चीजें हैं जो अच्छी है. हाँ ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. And that sort of starts shifting my perception about Manoj. And it actually happens. It is not acting. This is my experience, and all actors will vouch for it. So that's how me and Manoj slowly start becoming slightly more empathetic towards each other. And we start finding reasons to become friends. So our biases about each other start slowly breaking off. Now I come to a point. What if life was more like theater? Now imagine all of us belonging to different religions, different ethnic groups, different language groups, decide and evolve a ritual where we all start suspending our disbelief and actually pretend to be each other's friends every day, 1 hour for a week. Maybe we will find a bleak solution to make this world slightly better place, isn't it? Because it actually happens. Second thing, in many cultures, theater is a form of ritual. It is integrated with rituals. So we can actually come up with festivals, maybe compassion festivals or empathy festivals, or maybe festivals which are like suspension of disbelief festival. We all pretend to be friends. We all pretend to be, oh, we don't hate people from this religion. Oh, we don't hate people from this ethnicities. And we actually celebrate it. And I'll tell you, your perception of reality will actually start shifting like it happens with actors. The second very interesting thing which I found during my theater practice is that we always talk about characters, right? Now, what is a character? What is self? A character is essentially accumulation of identities. Is that right? So if I ask you, who are you? You'll say, I'm so-so. I belong to so and so religion. I speak this language. I belong to this and this religion. When I start playing a character, I suspend all these identities as well. I say I don't belong to Maharashtra from a lower middle class family. No, I'm Othello. Or I'm Nata Samrat. I'm the great actor who was born like this. Or Othello, I was born in such and such country. So I start suspending my identities. So the more I started doing this, I realized that anyone actually, in a certain state of mind, can suspend our identities. And there is nothing called as self. If you go to all the spiritual leaders, they'll tell you self. Self is the root cause problem of everything. Self, क्योंकि self से ego आता है और ego से सारे आपके परेशानियां शुरू हो जाती है. And ironically, all the actors you have seen, they are egoistic, aren't they? So there are two ways of looking at it, this Nata Samrat monologue. Is that I am Ganpat Belwalkar, I am Othello, I am Sudhakar, or maybe because I can be so much, I'm actually no one. So instead of accumulating identities and fueling your ego, I can also say, oh, I can be fluid. I can be this, I can be water, I can be wind, and I can be someone, I can be a humble person from the streets, and I can be the king as well. So there's nothing called as self. Self is essentially a transient state of being. And how do we practice it? Like this, by becoming actors and understanding our different roles and not letting it affect us and not letting it accumulate our egos. This is the second thing. If life was more like theater, then maybe, yeah, we can start looking at each other's not like characters, but someone who's like fluid selves. Third thing, you must have heard about this thing called show must go on, right? And all the films have portrayed it as this cruel, inevitable situation which actors have to endure through. Oh, बहुत कुछ दुखी चल रहा है जीवन में, फिर भी जाके शो कर रहे हैं, देखो, वाह 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 वाह. No, it is true. We all have to do it. Even when we are happy, we have to pretend that we are sad. When we are sad, we have to pretend we are happy, or we have to be funny. That's right. But I have found, instead of looking at it as a very cruel condition or redundant condition, it is actually an opportunity. So I'll share my experience with you. So my father was on a deathbed about 8 to 9 years ago. And I was working on a musical. It was a crazy, humorous musical with crazy dance numbers, 50 dancers dancing at the back, and all of that mumbo jumbo. And when I was about to enter onto the stage, I got to know that my father is on deathbed. And I just entered onto the stage with these thoughts, thinking, and the same calculations are happening. I have to go and I have to meet my father. He's into other city and all of it. But slowly, as I surrendered myself to the situation and allowed the stimulus which are coming to me, I slowly started, my emotional energy started shifting. And my emotions actually started changing. Not only that, my mind started transposing my father onto a character in the play who was playing my father. And I was having dialogues with my father while I was talking to this co-actor. And my mind was thinking, if at all my father doesn't make it through this illness, maybe this is the only opportunity I have got to speak with him. So for me, actually, it worked as a healing process. Sadly, my father did not make it. And I had to come back and keep performing that play. But my mind almost always transposed my father onto that co-actor and helped me come out of it. So I genuinely feel that instead of looking at it as a redundant situation, it is actually a bliss. It actually helped me realize that you are more than your emotional suffering. You don't have to reduce yourself down only to this much. Now, in Indian tradition, we have this beautiful concept of Visarjan. And I find show must go on, this concept is equivalent to Visarjan, where you actually go and you actually let your emotional energy flow into something that is bigger than you. Because there is a bigger play that is happening besides your limited understanding of life, your own joys and sorrows. When you just open it up and go into this ocean, then it's very relieving, it's very liberating. Really try it. I find my profession very noble because that's the opportunity as actors we get to do. Another thing, what if life was more like theater? All of us genuinely think that actors fake emotions. Is that right? You all think that we fake emotions. Now, a big reveal comes. Can I tell you a secret? Hardly actors fake emotions. We are trained to evoke emotions, but those emotions are as real as they can get. The fact that we let them loose behind the disguise of a mask is our craft. But they are as real as what you experience in real life. So many actors will vouch for it. And what happens is that right when we are in the middle of it, when we are like at the peak of our anger, or we are peak of our romantic passionate scene, or we are at the peak of our sorrow, boop, someone says cut, boop, or someone says slowly it dissolves into a blackout. And the next thing we do, as if we didn't know each other, and we go and we start changing and we get ready for the next scene. I find this point very interesting. Because at that point of time, if you just map our brains, and I really want to do that one day with neuroscientists, I really want to map my brain. What happens is that I'm absolutely connected. Oh, this person, I'm angry on him, I'm about to kill him, boop, cut. And you're like, hey, acha raha yaar, kaisa raha gaya? Now I'm proposing something bizarre. What if we start doing it in real life? Like you're right in the middle of a tense situation. You're in a road rage, say for example. And you're about to let thap cut. You just go and you change clothes and you just like, ये incidents को 5 साल हो गए और अब हाँ वो मैं भूल चुका हूँ and I'm just going somewhere else. What will happen? See, if I can do when I suspend my disbelief every day, then we can start trying this in our real life. And as I said, those emotions are as real as these emotions. Now, having said that, I know the consequences when these things happen in life are way more grave, and it can't be done every time. But if we start doing it on a minute level in our real life, maybe one day we will realize, which I have found through my theater practice, is that emotions are not the ultimate reality. They are again only an aroused psychophysical response which has also arisen out of your conditioned mind. So you don't have to master your emotions, or we may not be able to master our emotions in one lifetime, but we don't have to be slaves to it. We can be slightly more than our emotions, and all of us know that whenever we take make decisions out of emotions, we regret it later, don't we? When we are overtaken by emotions in anger, in even in happiness. और तब तो अच्छा लगा था यार, कर दिया, अब नहीं इतना अच्छा लग रहा. Yeah, it does happen, right? So, what if life was more like theater? Yes, I feel it can be better if we start blurring the lines between theater and life. But again, as I said, don't think theater as something less real and life as something more real. I think they both are like the reflections of each other. They are mirror images of each other, and it's how we engage with them. Having said that, I hope my experience and my sharing was of any value to you. I thank you all again for being such a generous audience, and love you all. Thank you very much.